Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Hollywood After Dark. It is the 20th of February, 2026. Lots of twos, lots of L's going on today, I'll tell you that much. We got James Cameron with a rare one. Phil Spencer stepping down from Xbox. What does that mean? It has to do with AI, I think. Don't Be a Menace 2, White Chicks 2. The Interview Fallout, 12 years later, I guess. And of course, Superman doesn't believe in Santa Claus because, a character for kids. What the hell? Hollywood After Dark. Let's fucking go. Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? Welcome back to the podcast. Obviously, we're trying this again. I've been thinking a lot about it recently, and as much as I enjoy live streaming, I feel like I'm spending too much time talking about artificial intelligence, and a lot of you don't like that. I'm not going to stop talking about it, obviously, but I don't want to make it a mainstay, a priority of this channel. We love talking about movies here, whether those movies are new, whether those movies are old, whether those movies are, in fact, made by computers. I don't know. There's a lot going on, though, with Hollywood, right? Yesterday, we had the Toy Story 5 trailer. Got to see what they're planning on doing with that, and I got to say it looks fantastic. The idea of toys versus technology is obviously a battle for the adolescent ages. It's one that I know my kids go back and forth on, but it is kind of healthy, to be fair, right? So I have my children, 6 and 8, and they will play with toys, and then they will play video games. Or on their tablet, right? They mix it up a little bit. You know what I mean? They don't just do one or the other. They play with a wide variety of stuff as everything progresses throughout the course of the day, So as a parent, I'm looking at Toy Story 5 and I'm looking at it through the lens. This is going to sound kind of weird. I'm looking at it through the lens of not only a parent, but also like as a child who the mindset of like a teenager, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of weird because look, Toy Story is now 30 years old. And by the time the movie comes out in a few months, it's going to be 30 and a half years old. Okay. Because, we count by half years now because we're children. Right. Anyway. So it's like 30 years old. And I saw it when I was 13. And I remember seeing it the first time. I remember going to see it 3 times in theaters, and I just loved every second of it. And I've loved watching it with my kids, and I've loved all the movies so far, as well as like the shorts and everything else that they've done. It's been great to watch. But when I go and I take a look at this one, when I look at Toy Story 5, I'm still trying to look at it through the lens of wanting my toys to walk and talk and have feelings and adventures and everything else. And I don't think that feeling is ever going to go away. And I don't, here's the thing, fuck it. I don't want that feeling to go away. I don't want that feeling to ever go the fuck away. And I think that's a great way to kind of start off today's little ramble, if you will. All right, let's talk about this for a second. Do we ever want these fucking feelings to go away? Do you ever not want to get excited going into a movie? Right. And I've been railing about this for fucking years. Okay. But I'm just really on it right now. Have you ever just sat there for a moment and been like, I really don't want to like this movie? Right. What the fuck who gives a shit? Movies are entertainment. Okay. Not every entertainment piece is going to land with you. Not every person you watch is going to make you laugh, cry, think, emote, whatever. Okay. Obviously. But just in general, think about where we are as an apathetic, cynical, nihilistic, negative society. And I say that in many ways because I'm also highly cynical, but not when it comes to movies, dude. Not when it comes to movies. I like getting excited. I like feeling the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I like feeling my nips get hard. They could cut glass. I like all that shit. And I'm never not going to like that shit. And my goal, if anything, is to provide some solace of a place where people can get excited. Now, there are going to be things I'm going to complain about. Make no fucking mistake. All right, I'm human, I'm flesh, I'm bone, I bleed, I pee, I poo, I come. By the way, this show is not for kids. If you haven't figured that out by now, okay. But in many ways, I don't ever want to feel like we can't just enjoy a fucking movie. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you where I'm having more fun is on Facebook these days, not Twitter. Jesus fucking Christ, not Twitter. Right? Not, YouTube is still just full of negative Nancy's because the algorithm pushes the negativity. That's why you click on it. It's all the dopamine hit, right? And so that's kind of how it always goes. But no, Facebook, people been having lots of fun talking about shit. People actually enjoying movies. It's weird. We can actually like these things. Go fucking figure. And there's also, look, I don't want to sit there and just be like the kind of person that says you can never dislike a movie. Okay. There are tons of movies out there that aren't for you or for me. Okay. And other people might like them. Look, I think Twilight, the entire 5 movie series, never mind the books, are a complete bastardization of everything we should hold dear about literature and entertainment. But those movies made a lot of money and a lot of women like them. In fact, Forks here in Washington, where I live, has an annual Twilight convention, I think. So people they will make the pilgrimage out to Forks, Washington in order to go see the filming locations of their favorite movie franchise. I mean, look, people do the same thing for Jurassic Park in Hawaii. When I was going to Hawaii a few months ago, people were asking me, "Oh, are you going to go to the Jurassic Park filming locations?" And I'm like, "I can't," but that would be something awesome to do. I still want to make a pilgrimage, if you will, out to Red Bank, New Jersey, to go to the Quick Stop. I want to see it with my own 2 fucking eyes, and then I want to go to Smodcastle Cinemas, and I want to watch a movie in the Kevin Smith owned movie theater. That is something I want to fucking do. Why? Repeat the fuck after me. I love movies. That's why. Okay, repeat after me. I love movies. That's why. All forms. And that's one of the reasons why I'm like big on I'm big on this AI thing. All right. And again, I know not everybody out there likes it, and you don't have to. One of the key reasons why I like it is because I have seen some seriously cool, innovative, creative shit coming out from some of these people who would never have the ability in a million years prior to this to have the funding to be able to make something so visually appealing, as well as putting their heart and their soul, their blood, their sweat, their tears into this content that they can then stand behind and go, this is a story I want to tell. This is how I want to tell it. And you can run with it. And as a person who has been working on short stories now for like the last like 6 months, almost, 5, 6 months I've been working on it. And I've written a bunch of them. And yeah, I use AI to help me do it. And I'm just now rolling them out over on Amazon to see what happens with that. Right. I have a pen name. That's, if you want to read one, like hit me up or whatever. But it's that's what I'm doing for me, because these are all stories I want to turn into movies down the road. Right. Why? Because repeat the fuck after me. I fucking love movies, man. Like, there we go. There we go. That's the first thing I want to talk about today is that. Now, the second thing I want to do is I kind of want to laugh a little bit for a second at James Gunn, because James Gunn, I think is getting himself in a little bit of a pickle at this particular point in time. So over there on the threads today, someone asked him a question. Does Superman believe in Santa Claus? And he says, no, he's an adult. And I'm like, and I'll tell you this, right? Just from like a writer perspective, I think that's like the lamest thing you could have said to a person in response to that. Okay, why does Superman have the red trunks? Let's just be real for a hot second. Why does Superman have the red trunks in this version, this Corn Sweat Gun version, DCU version of fucking Superman? Why? Because he wants to make sure kids aren't afraid of him. Well, what is something else that kids, fucking believe in? And that's Santa Claus and shit. All right. So you're telling me that Superman doesn't believe in Santa Claus? This motherfucker is a goddamn Kryptonian alien coming to Earth and shit, living a double life. He watches kaijus and fucking other forms of interdimensional beings and shit, flying dogs, and fucking Santa Claus is out of the realm of possibility. I mean, at this particular point in time, even like Jesus should be a goddamn metahuman, right? You just go, Santa Claus is a fucking metahuman. Just do that. He's been one of the first metahumans. Oh, you know what I mean? And shit, like fucking, St. Nicholas he was here doing shit, turning fucking snow into grape juice and shit, for like all these years. I don't know. They could do something with it, but it just kind of bothers me that is like, you have a story that is like clearly aimed at kids, right? Because that's the whole point of Superman, is it's a child's toy. And then you've got this whole thing where, oh no, he's an adult. He doesn't believe in that shit. Like, where's the whimsy? Right? James Gunn, you unwhimsical bitch. But I do feel like I'm being a little harsh, but I do feel in some ways James Gunn is at a point where, like, again, he's feeling the pressure, right? He's feeling the pressure from everything that's going on with Paramount and Netflix vying for control of what he's working on. And I don't blame him for that. I'm going to talk about Paramount here in a few, but especially James Cameron. Ooh, boy. But one of the things I want to touch upon real quick is we got ourselves a victory, friends. We got ourselves. This is not a drill. I need a drop for this. I don't have a drop for this. Do I have what do I got here? Do I have okay, hold on. Here we go. Here we go. Not the one I thought there anyway, though. It's a drum roll, but not the one I want. But here we're going to give it to you guys. Fight Club 4K on the horizon. Fight Club is coming. All right. We are getting ourselves a 4K, well, at least on digital, is coming May 12th, 2026. It features, check this out, a 4K restoration for enhanced clarity and immersive sound. It's got Steelbook. This is because it's Disney working through Sony now. All right, but we're going to get probably a fair amount of special features, hopefully. There's no availability yet on Amazon to pre-order it, but as soon as it goes live, I'm pre-ordering it because we haven't had a 4K Fight Club. I have the Blu-ray, I have the DVD. Give me 4K in Fight Club. I'll be a happy boy. I just gotta, give it up to Disney for finally giving fans what they want on this one. So you know what? Let's give them an applause. Let's give them an applause. And if you, I don't really vet these sound effects ahead of time. All right. So you know what? I'm going to use one more because I do want to quickly touch upon one thing, and that is Marlon Wayans giving an interview talking about Scream 6 said, I think, one of the most important things that got me really, really thinking about it. My heart racing, everything. I'm done with the sound effects. But no, he says that if Scary Movie 6 is a success, if Scary Movie 6 does gangbusters, or just probably makes money, White Chicks 2 and Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood 2 will also be coming. They're going to bring them back, baby. They're going to bring them back because it's been 30 years since Don't Be a Menace came out. Can you believe that shit? 30 fucking years since Don't Be a Menace dropped in 1996, and that movie is still ungodly funny. Ungodly funny. Even every once in a while when I'm like doing something, I'll still quote the grandmother right after the fight with Shawn Wayans in the movie when she goes, "You still hit like a bitch." Right? Or why come? Jesus, preacher got to have himself a nice car. Why come preacher got to have himself a nice house? Don't ask no questions. Right? Like that whole bit, that whole movie, dude. It lands, it slaps, it's funny, it holds up completely. The Bernie Mac scene with the cop is so goddamn funny. That movie is just timeless beyond belief. And you know what? Go ahead and give me a restoration of that in 4K. Let me get the government cheese scene with dashiki, and got to pour one out for my homies. Or also, oh God, hey, y'all want to see a dead body? God damn, I could quote that movie all day long. And yes, I know that quote is from Stand By Me, but the way that I said it specifically was from the opening of Don't Be a Menace, where they show a bunch of kids, 4 kids. And one kid goes, hey, y'all want to see a dead body? And then they go down the train tracks, and I think it's an Elvis impersonator, and he's dead. He's not actually dead, but like his pants are pulled down around his waist, down by his knees, and he's got like poop on his asshole like he just been raped. So it's not funny. I mean, rape jokes are never funny, right? But then it farts, and then it's funny. So you can't deny the fart humor, folks. You can't deny the fart humor. Plus the whole thing too, man. Like, yo, man, you want this cheeseburger? Man, I'll suck your dick. And oh my God, it's so fucking funny. That's a movie that I watched countless times as a teenager. It was on repeat. One of the reasons why it was on repeat, funny little side story, is my aunt and my uncle, both of whom have passed away, unfortunately, used to have a black box, right? So they got all the pay-per-view channels for free. So what I would do is I would have my aunt put a tape in before she went to bed and just hit record for the movie that I was asking her to record. And then she would just let the tape run all night long. Okay, so Don't Be a Menace was one she did it with, all right? And I had it on LP, all right, 6 hours, okay? And so I'm watching the movie, and then it replayed again, and I'm watching it again, all right? Well, what happened was my uncle gets up in the middle of the night. This is 100% true. He gets up in the middle of the night, flips it from that pay-per-view channel over to the Spice channel. So I'm just watching the movie in my living room. My parents are like right behind me. Okay, they're not paying attention. And I click on it, all right, I'm watching it, and then all of a sudden it just cuts to Spice Channel. Yeah, sure, it's, just like like non-penetration, non-fully nude, whatever. Well, I mean, no dicks, which is fine with me. But anyway, like I was like, right, I need to take this into my room. And yeah, man, it was it wasn't Spice Channel, sorry, it was Playboy Channel. And one of the actresses in there that I first saw was Julie Strain. I met her a couple of years later, which was kind of cool. I was like, hey, I've seen you before. I'm not going to tell you where or what I was doing in the process. Anyway, remind you guys, this show is for 18 up. God damn it. That's why we don't have any sponsors, which is why if you like Hollywood After Dark and you want me to do more of this shit, let me know. You guys got to like it. You guys got to comment. You guys got to spread it because this channel is dead otherwise. Anyway, there's more to talk about. We got that. So I'm very happy with that one there. I do want to kind of touch upon a little bit of sad news, in my opinion. This is relating to entertainment, but video games predominantly. Phil Spencer as retiring from Xbox. Now, this is a tough one for a lot of us diehard Xbox fans, however many of us there may be left. I don't know. I'm definitely one of them. But Phil Spencer started in Microsoft back in 1988 as an intern, worked his way up to head of Xbox after Don Matrick completely tanked the Xbox brand in 2013. And quite frankly, it never recovered. They tried multiple times for it to recover. It never recovered. So Phil Spencer decided that the best course of action would be then to go on a developer buying spree in order to then more or less buy a lot of the IPs to expand Games Pass, because they feel that having that kind of subscription service will eventually pay off and become profitable for the company, which the way things are currently going with gaming, yeah, I kind of think that. I've been saying that for a while. Cloud gaming is going to be big once we get the infrastructure here in the United States. Video games themselves, console-wise, they're not going to be lasting much longer. So I wouldn't really feel like that's going to be a huge thing that we're going to see a lot of down the road. I know people out there are going to go, I want my consoles. Well, no, it's like your Netflix. If you could log on in, get your gaming, the same way you get your movies and your porn, you're going to be fine. Okay, I'm sorry, you're going to be fine. But here's where things get interesting. So he's like the chief of Xbox. The president of Xbox, Sarah Bond, is also departing. And the woman that's taking over is, what's her name here? Her name is Asha Sharma. She joined in 2024 from Instacart and Meta, which frightens me a bit. And she has been working for like the AI department of Microsoft. So she's coming over to work on Xbox when she comes from Instacart and Meta, and she's been running over the AI stuff. Now, that's going to bother a lot of people, okay? Because in many ways, what's going to happen is you're going to see, a lot of AI integration into Xbox, probably in the development side of things. Microsoft's already been pushing this with Copilot. Not everyone's a big fan of that, and that's going to cause a lot of issue. But again, this is one of those moments where, like I was kind of talking about before, where you have the adoption phase, right? We're in the adoption phase, and more people are coming around to it, despite what a lot of the media is trying to argue about it not happening. It's happening. I'm sorry, Twitter is not a reflection of real life. I talk to people, literally people from all walks of life at my job every single day, and it comes up all the time. And a lot of them are actually more in line with it being helpful. I'll give you guys just an example. Had a guy last night telling me that he wants to write a sitcom, and he's a referee, right? High school basketball referee, and that's what he had done. That's what he does for work. And he's like, I want to write a sitcom. And I'm talking to him. I said, well, you could use AI to help you out with that. And he goes, I'm already doing that. So we had this conversation while I was driving him to the airport about like how to write a sitcom, based upon my knowledge, which isn't much, but still, it's like that. The whole thing. People are already integrating it into development. They're already integrating it into creative work, and it's here. So there we go. I don't quite know what's going to happen from this, but what we're seeing on the movie side, and this is what kind of brings me into the next thing real quick, though. I really do hope that Xbox gets itself back on track. I really hope we get good games and that the consumers don't get screwed. That's what I want at the end of the day. Phil Spencer tried. He did try, and he'll always have my respect for that, to be fair. But anyway, moving on from there, but also in the same vein here, the MPA has sent a cease and desist to ByteDance and Seedance. They're calling for it to not be released because apparently in like 4 days, so on a Tuesday, I think, right? Monday or Tuesday. It's what day is it? Hold on. If I actually know, what is going on here. I don't even know anymore what day it is. No, sorry, Tuesday. I was right. So Tuesday, supposedly Seed Dance 2.0 is going to be released domestically here in the States. It hasn't been yet, but there's been a lot of shakeup with it. I've been watching Hollywood After Dark. We've talked about that now for over a week. We've watched a lot of content coming out from that in over a week, and we've seen what the quality is. Okay, and it's getting closer, guys. It's getting closer and closer and closer. But the MPA and like Warner Brothers and Disney and Paramount, I think, and like maybe Sony, probably a bunch of people have been dropping like these, cease and desists on ByteDance over it, because this is where we are. You guys have to understand we're in that phase right now where these guys have to legally protect their trademarks. They have to. So they have to send cease and desists. All right. They have to threaten legal action. In many cases, they will have to initiate legal action for a settlement in order to then open up the door for licensability, because that's ultimately what's going to happen. Disney already saw this. Bob Iger already did this with OpenAI. Okay. And now everyone else is going to do it again because they can get money. They can license that to the AI models, and then the AI models at the same time want to then hustle the studios. You have to understand this is where it's going as well. The AI models also want to sit there and hustle the studios by having it be they want to have the models for the studios to license, because it will ultimately be cheaper for the studios to license the models from these companies that are already trained on all the copyrighted data, and then be able to use that in their workflow rather than create their own. Now, will they eventually create their own? Yes. But for right now, you can tell that's kind of what China wants to do. All right. China would love to find a way to destabilize us. Okay. And destabilizing us by having a top tier AI video model that we don't have yet because of our copyright guidelines and everything else, and them just not caring, is probably how they want to do it. Now, ByteDance, though, did say, okay, that they would respect copyright and they will strengthen safeguards, which is also what happens all the time with these models. Okay, Sora had this happen when it came out back in September, early October, right? There was like, it had all of those AI, copyrighted material stuff flooding the web, just flooding the web. Funny stuff, meme stuff, everything's being shared around. And then within like a day or two, when it got wider and everyone's talking about it and wanting to mess with it, what do? They clamp down on their restrictions. They do this all the time. And it's because it's showing these companies, for one, they have no control ultimately over their copyright, right? It's out there. People are going to take it. They're going to run with it. But the technology is there for them to license it, to then be able to then make the content off of it. Again, it's going to take a little bit of time to get there, and I could ultimately be very wrong. I am willing to acknowledge that. Okay. But I don't think so. Looking at this through the lens of business, it seems like the play that they're going for. I keep trying to tell everybody AI ain't going nowhere. So don't act like it is. Don't act like people are, it's not going anywhere, but we have to find a way to use it appropriately. And that's kind of where this stuff is here. All right, let's get into the final two stories of the day. This is more, again, just me kind of rambling on for a while, but I want to talk about Paramount, Skydance, and the sheer amounts of dumb fuckery from David Ellison. He's going to lose this fight over Warner Brothers and Netflix, and but he's out there now just saying random stuff. Okay, well, I should say Paramount itself, not David Ellison. I don't want to put words in his mouth. So this is coming in from Paramount. They have said that they have been able to comply and get past a DOJ antitrust review. They say here, Paramount Skydance certified compliance with second request. All right. So they've been pushing for this hostile takeover since September of 2025. Warner Brothers Discovery prefers its $83 billion definitive deal with Netflix. There will be a shareholder vote on March 20th, so a month from today. Warner Brothers Discovery opened a window, which ends on Monday, for Paramount to clarify or improve its offer of $30 a share. But Netflix is now accusing Paramount of misleading shareholders. And then you've got Democratic senators like Cory Booker probing Paramount's Trump admin's ties and record preservation. But right now, and I'm kind of just reading off some notes I have here, Warner Brothers is still committed to the Netflix sale. And Warner Brothers employees are committed to the Netflix sale. But what Paramount could do effectively is they could come on in with a higher counter, and then they could end up getting, like that. Like they could almost force Netflix to do their counter. But Netflix has said, like they're going to evaluate as they're going to value it. And if another company ends up paying more money, then they're kind of like okay with that, which is kind of weird in some ways to me, because it feels like either this is where, okay, I'm just going to quickly go off on a little bit of a side thing here. I get a little bit ticked off with the way Netflix does business sometimes, even though I feel like in this particular situation, it would be like they are the lesser of two evils. You know what I'm saying? They are the lesser of two evils, and that is ultimately like kind of the better deal here. I would prefer them to not sell, to be honest with you. I'd absolutely prefer them to not sell, but unfortunately, we really don't have that ability, right? Like they are like this is it's wishful thinking, if anything. But there was a little bit of an exchange on the Matt Baloney podcast. I want to play this clip real quick because this is one that a lot of people are using to kind of attack Zack Snyder. But in reality, I want you guys to listen to what's being said about what Ted Sarandos is, the other person on this particular call, what he says about the price of things and how they evaluate things, because I think that is the more interesting element of this particular exchange.
Right. So let's get back to this deal structure and where we are here, because I think there's some confusion. I know you're not going to tell me how high you guys are willing to go on the price, but at least one of the analysts has said that he's been urging Paramount to bail out because they believe that Netflix would go at least 10% more. It's Rich Greenfield. He says that would be $33 per share for Paramount. Are you willing to raise your bid?
In our history, we have always been very disciplined buyers. We're really good at measuring the value of
except when it comes to the Russos or Zack Snyder, but we won't get into that.
They were based on the potential for engagement. For sure,
yes.
And in those models, we've walked away many times when we needed to. And I don't think you should expect us to behave any differently here, which is we think we're in the range of where this deal has to be, and if we're going to stay into it, and we are willing to make sure that we're paying the right amount, and happy to see somebody else overpay for it, just like we do for every movie or every TV show we do every day.
So what he's saying there effectively is that they are, they're going to look at the model, they're going to look to see the valuation of it, but they're willing to pay for it, they're willing to pay a lot for it, but they also are not going to go above what they think the valuation of the property is. In this case, $83 billion. And so if Paramount wants to come on in and offer more money than that, and can offer more money than that, they're like, all right, fine, like go ahead. Because they don't really care. Right. And then, but the comment there that Baloney made about the Russo brothers and Zack Snyder was definitely a jab. But it was one also that Ted Sarandos kind of came back with coldly. And he's just like, there was a potential amount of engagement that we were looking at. Our models were showing us that the engagement was going to be very high, right? Not talking about the quality, but talking about the engagement. Okay. And I'm sure they're talking about not only the Gray Man from a couple of years ago, but the Electric State from last year, which, was this supposed $320 million budgeted movie. I watched it. I thought it was great. It was way better than Gray Man. Gray Man was like, it was all right. It was fun, but it was like not one I want to go back to. Electric State I really liked, and I feel like if people actually gave it a chance, they would actually maybe find it. But it was just like one of those things where there was this very, very, very open and utter hatred for that movie from the movie-going media before the film even came out. And I think it had everything to do with the budget that was being reported. But what people don't realize, and I know the media knows this, but they see that $320 million and they want to just like fucking run to it, is that this is like Chris Pratt, Millie Bobby Brown are going to command high-ass paydays. All right. All the actors in the movie are going to get paid up front. All the visual effects it's going to take to do that movie. Everything else is going to cost to do that movie. And it was just the whole notion that it was this massive budgeted movie that ended up, I don't know how well it did. I got to go look at the numbers, but I thought it was fun. And then the Zack Snyder thing is Rebel Moon, but that had a lot to do, again, just because I have to come out and correct the record here. When you talk about Rebel Moon, they tried to artificially recreate the Snyder Cut momentum. So they had like the PG-13 versions, which once again cut, from my understanding, about 30 minutes per movie, right? 30 minutes per movie got cut out overall. And then it just was a bit of a disjointed mess. So then when they put out the director's cuts, that's what I watched. I actually avoided the PG-13 version of it. And I thought that it was a much better experience, and I really enjoyed the movies. And that whole 6 hours flew by super quick because I thought it was quite good. This is the problem with Netflix trying to chase trends. At least with Zack Snyder, that's what they were trying to do based upon the response to the Snyder Cut, the build up to the Snyder Cut, the release of the Snyder Cut, and then, of course, like the restore the Snyderverse aspect of it and everything else. Does this mean that they're like out of the Zack Snyder business? Probably, right? But they're also doing that for a lot of people. Like a lot of people have worked with them and have moved away from them, and they'll always kind of find their way back. This is the nature of the business. But again, because everything nowadays is so goddamn tribalistic, Netflix choosing to go and work on another, not renew Zack Snyder's first look deal or whatever, which I think already expired, and then him going on to do other things is not really indicative of anything. It's like they've decided to go a different direction. This is how studios operate literally all the time. It's business. Do you know how many people in Hollywood sue each other all the time but still have solid working relationships, right? Remember, like, that is how it goes. It's like there is a business side of this, and then there's the personal side of this. And the business side, just people don't even fucking know, man. Like, that's the thing. If you go on Twitter, you're looking at people who have never ever studied anything about film, period, point blank, full stop, ever. And they think they understand any bit of the industry in any fucking capacity, and they don't. And it's so rampantly apparent when all of that stuff comes out. Like, do I know everything? No. Do I speculate a lot? Absolutely. But do I think I have a solid fundamental like understanding of at least the basics? Yes. And I've been told that multiple times by people when I lived in LA and worked in LA. All right. So it's like the business side of things you got to pay more attention to than the tribalistic side of things. The tribalistic side of things is what people like about, it's basically team sports, but movies, right? And I'm sorry, let me just kind of reiterate this point. I'm going to yell this real quick. Movies are not fucking sports, you goddamn morons. They're not sports. They're not sports. Stop treating them like they're fucking sports, right? That's the stupidest thing anyone could fucking do is treat this shit like it's sports teams. All right. It's not. And it's like it's the laziest shit people can do. But you know what? It doesn't really surprise me because this is, people. Anyway, rant over. Let's get into the last little subject here. The James Cameron L. All right. Maybe I buried the lead. I always kind of do that, right? But James Cameron, is kind of in a situation right now where the dude, like the guy is the guy. We all know and love James Cameron. But he made a comment about this whole Netflix, Warner Brothers, Paramount thing. He's back in Paramount, which surprises me. It really does. He blasts the deal in a Senate letter. He wrote this back February 10th, so 10 days ago, sent this to Senator Mike Lee. He says that Netflix buying Warner Brothers Discovery is disastrous for theatrical business. And like more or less was calling it like apocalyptic, right? I mean, I'm kind of emphasizing that whole point there, but like, look, the guy has got 44 years in the biz. All right, his movies are the number 1, number 3, and number 4 movies of all time. All right, three of his movies are in the top 5 highest box office returns of all time. Avatar: Fire and Ash, $1 billion less than Avatar: Way of Water. You know what I mean? And so it's like, okay. But then again, in the 3 years, the market itself has shifted. But he says here that the Netflix model hurts theaters, which, and I get all that, right? He also criticized Ted Sarandos, saying that the theater model is outdated, and that a 17-day theatrical window is ridiculously short versus the 45 to 60 days needed for tentpoles. Now, look, a lot of us agree that 45 days is fine. I don't think a lot of people out there are really kind of against any of that. But again, I have to point out here that this is not specifically a Netflix model issue here. Okay. And we need to remind that shit. Like, everyone's going to come out and like defend theaters, but there's no denying that they're in their final days. There's no denying that. All right. Like the mass market entertainment that we had in the the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s specifically, that's merging away from it. You're talking post-COVID. That's one factor. Costs for theaters are too goddamn fucking high. I keep railing on about this, but for, apparently it's like, people want to go spend $30 a ticket to go see fucking Mercy in IMAX. I'm sorry, I won't. I was looking at prices the other day to go see Wuthering Heights in IMAX. Why the fuck would I watch Wuthering Heights in IMAX? But my local theater had tickets in their primary spot for $23. Unless unless it comes in Jizzovision, all right, I'm not gonna go see Wuthering Heights and IMAX. Never mind just the general cost of the films for a matinee ticket. Movie, this is where I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to go back to the AI thing, but this is where this shit really fucking gets me. What we have to remember here is that this is a working man's art form. I will rail on this all the damn time. This is a working man's art form. Prices are too damn high. They know the prices are too damn high. They never want to talk about the prices are too damn high because they just want to make sure that they get the funding to make their fucking movie. God damn the fucking people who want to go see it. It's the same thing when people that are like, I love theme parks, but never sit there and complain that it's like $150+ for one person to go to one park at Disneyland in the summer for one day. When I was living in LA, I could have gotten a full year subscription, right there. SoCal Pass, $171 for the year. That was 2010 and 2011. Now, if I want to go like one day in the summer, like if I want to take my family of 4 at Christmas time for one day park hopper pass for 4 people, $1,036. I'm not paying that. I'm not paying that. And that's a financial choice that a lot of people have to make, especially as all the costs in this country go up. So something's got to fucking give. And right now, the value of everything entertainment-wise is streaming over theaters. And people are choosing that, not generally because they want to, because it's their only financial option. You want to save theaters? I'm sorry. I'm just going to tell it to you one more fucking time. Lower the goddamn prices. Otherwise, shut the fuck up and watch it burn. Because that's where we are. And I hate that. I truly despise that. But that, my friends, is where the fuck we are. And it's terrible. And I don't want to sit there and say that it's greed. I don't want to sit there and say all that stuff because there is some greed. But the cost of even making the content has gone up. Why has it gone up? Because everyone else's prices have gone up, but movies still continuously seem to lose money, yet they still seemingly continue to find the hundreds of millions of dollars needed to make this stuff. But yet they won't lower the damn price of making the movie and try to then offset that by opening the door to lower ticket prices to get more people to come on in more often. Because the way that you have long tail earnings in theaters is if people go back multiple times. If I'm dropping $25 for an IMAX ticket, it had better suck my dick or else I ain't going back again. You know what I mean? Not realistically sucking my dick. I'm sorry. Some of you out there are going to take that literally. No, I'm not asking for a device in the theaters that sucks my dick. That would be very weird, albeit slightly erotic, but still weird. And I'm not actually asking for that. But to read between the lines, you have to make it more affordable, right? Make movies affordable again. Jesus, it's not that fucking hard. Anyway, this is longer than I wanted, which is fine with me. I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you made it this far, thank you. Leave a like, comment Avatar in the chat so I know you guys made it. If you guys want more of this, let me know, and I will do more of this. Again, guys, Hollywood After Dark is absolutely a fan-funded podcast and live stream. If you want to support it, the best way to do that is to head over to patreon.com/Matt Jarbo. Check that out there. And support, your fellow positive movie-loving people. Avoid the chuds. And if anyone out there tells you the AI is a scam, they're full of crap. I'm kidding. No, but they're still full of crap. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Peace out.